It's time to get really honest with yourself about homeschool. Welcome back to Making Everyday Magic. My name is Shauna, and if you are new here, we are a homeschooling family of 4. We are in our 7th year of homeschooling. We come here and we share kind of our journey, what we're learning along the way, what I'm learning about parenthood and motherhood along the way. We focus on secular curriculum choices. Today, I wanted to come here and I wanted to talk with you about being honest with yourself about homeschooling. Guys, before we go any further, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find us down in the comments or over on Instagram at Making Everyday Magic. So let me start with explaining my motivation for this video. If you guys are not aware, if you are new here, I am based in Texas, and the expectations for adhering to the homeschool laws in Texas are very low, very, very low. I am in a lot of, homeschooling Facebook groups and follow a lot of homeschool accounts and things like that, and a lot of fellow homeschoolers, and we're out in the world around a lot of homeschoolers. And I feel like I am seeing it I don't want to say trend, but I have seen a lot of posts lately of people who are coming to these groups and asking questions that I feel like, quite honestly, are kind of red flaggy, where they're either making statements or again asking questions about just, for example, my kid is 17 and we've been unschooling for 10 years, and I just realized they can't add and subtract. What can I do now to make sure they can get into college? And that, to me, is one of those things where there have been points along the way where there should have maybe been, like, you just don't wake up and realize that your kid is 10 years behind where they should be, right? Should be. I am a strong believer that every child needs to chart their own course, especially when it comes to education. I don't think there's a lot of trying to kind of stay on par with the similar age counterparts of their similar age school age counterparts. I can understand that. I can see a lot of benefit for that. A lot of people put a lot of stock in that. I have my kids in a grade level, but they're not across the board that grade level according to the pieces that we use. And I think that's okay. And I also understand a lot of people's homeschool motivation is because their child was not being best served in a public school setting. And I'm not asking you to make sure that your child who, for one reason or another, maybe neurodivergence or dyslexia, is unable to be on grade level. I'm not asking you to do that. I am just asking you to honestly evaluate yourself and whoever is providing the homeschool education for your learner. I want you to make sure that you are serving your learner. If you have done this for 2 years and they have not made progress, it may be time for you to genuinely chat with yourself about whether or not this is the best course. If you have done this for years and they have lost ground, either from when you've removed them from a public school setting or from when you have started your homeschool journey, it is really important that we do not allow our pride in this decision to interfere with the education of our children. And I know that that can be really hard. It can be really hard and scary to let people watch you try. And I know that you have to break down so many barriers and battle so many opinions when you choose this way of life, that then it can be even harder if you feel like you should maybe tap out to then tap out. Like, I understand there's a lot of emotion that goes in with that, but I am begging you to not let your pride in this situation honestly hinder your child's education. So I want you to be genuinely reflecting on whether this is a level of commitment that you can handle. And one of the things that I think happens, especially in these groups, is that terms are misused or misinterpreted, and then therefore they kind of take on a life of their own when the original intent of the term or the style or the philosophy is no longer present. And two of those terms for me that I see misused a lot are unschool and deschool. Now, let me explain what these things are. Deschool is a notion that kind of popped up, at least in my realm of knowing, with after things had kind of normalized, after the big pandy 4 years ago, when people had started being back in classrooms and things like that, and then people decided that that wasn't the best course for them and they were pulling their children to homeschool mid-year. Or basically what happens is your child has brick and mortar structured schooling experience, and then you decide to bring them home. And the idea of deschooling is that you basically allow your learner time to test out and try and appreciate new ways of learning. So you don't go jumping right back into a full-fledged school situation. What you do is you deschool and you allow them to kind of break free from some of those constraints of a structured schooling environment. Now, again, this term has been hijacked, I feel strongly, because people are using this as 100% full-fledged, no holds barred, no parameters, no learning at all. We are just, it isn't deschooling, it's completely none-schooling. And that is not the intent. The intent is to teach them new ways that they can learn and allow them to have an appreciation for that, to come out of that high-structured environment and find out, all of you, your whole family, it's important, that you can all learn in new ways. It doesn't have to be the same way it's always been or the same way you've always thought it should be. That's the intent. It is not, again, to just let them play video games for 2, 3, 4 months straight and then wonder why you're having a hard time keeping them from wanting to only play video games. So please be self-aware and be honest if you can maintain this level of commitment. Another term that bothers me that I feel like has been incredibly hijacked is unschooling. Unschooling, again, is not no schooling. Unschooling, in my absolute opinion, is harder as a homeschooler than following a curriculum piece, because if I buy a language arts curriculum, it tells me what to do now, next, later. If we are taking an unschooling approach, that is so much more parent intensive when it comes to learning, because it's child-led learning. So if my child this week is interested in telescopes in space, we are all in learning all of our subjects in relation to telescopes and space, meaning I'm having to figure out how this applies to math and geography and language arts, whereas the method that we use, which is just using curriculum pieces, that's already kind of set and planned out. Unschooling is not no schooling. It is child-led schooling. It is taking the approach that today this is your interest and we are going to all in on that interest. It does not mean we are not learning. It does not. And if your child's interest is video games, you're going out and you're finding out how video games do apply to what kind of math is involved in video games, what kind of science is involved in video games. Let's learn about this computer program. Let's learn about the art that goes into this. What kind of 3D image mapping goes into creating video games? What kind of circuitry is inside a video game? It is not no schooling, and I am begging you all out there, when you are sitting down this year, right now, in either preparation for next year, an evaluation for this past year, or if you are deciding to homeschool your parent, it is a wonderful way of life, and I am in full support of anyone who chooses this path. I'm in full support of anyone who chooses any other educational path for your children. But what I don't want you to do is to hinder their education, okay? I don't want you being so full of pride and your ego that you could not possibly admit that maybe you're wrong in choosing this path and maybe you should change the path going forward. It is okay to quit. There is no shame. It is okay to let people see you try, and it is okay to let people see you fail. The biggest failure that you could honestly do would be to not provide your child with the education that they need for the world. So please, and I know that this might be a really touchy subject for a lot of you. I know that a lot of people might take very serious offense to either my definition of these words or my approach, or maybe even just telling people to quit. I just want you to sit with yourself and be genuinely self-aware if you can take on the responsibility that's going to come with this. And I'm not saying that just because you work or you have other kids, you can't do that. Absolutely not. I do all of those things. I am just saying, are you willing to put in the work that is going to come from providing your child education? That is what I need you to genuinely reflect on and genuinely answer for yourself, because only you can answer that. I don't want you thinking there's massive shortcuts with deschooling and massive shortcuts with unschooling. There must be some sort of education provided for your child. And I know, like I said, especially here in Texas where the standards are so low, we don't have to check in, we don't have to report it to anyone. As far as the state of Texas knows, my children don't exist. I'm coming around to think that there is a certain level of oversight that might be needed or required, but I'm not there yet. But I can see how this would benefit a lot of people, having someone holding them accountable, because especially when you aren't holding yourself accountable, it's very slippery slope to sliding into not meeting those needs of your child's education. So I'm not saying that you should or shouldn't do it. What I am saying is, please be sure that if you are going to do it, if you have decided that your family is going to shoulder the burden of the education of your children at home, that you are shouldering the burden of your child's education at home, okay? If you say you're going to do it, by golly, please, in the interest of your children and their future, by golly, do it, okay? That's all I'm asking. Guys, I hope that you found it as helpful, entertaining, or informative. If you did, please scroll down, hit the big red subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications, and give this video a thumbs up. As always, you can find me down in the comments, where I'm sure plenty of you will come and take offense to what I have said, or over on Instagram. You can also take offense over there, at Making Everyday Magic. Yeah, let me know. What are your thoughts on this? Do you feel like you've seen people who have slid down the slippery slope and they're kind of off the rails? Do you feel like having no oversight is kind of becoming detrimental to the masses, which is a little bit where I'm at? I don't want to have to keep records and do all of those things. I don't want to have to do it, but I know that I am incredibly self-driven when it comes to ensuring my kids' education. And I know that a lot of people kind of aren't. So I'm beginning to lean toward, I would like to see more oversight, not vouchers. I don't want that. Okay. I don't want that, but something I'm starting to feel like would be needed. So let me know. Do you see this where you are? Do you have much oversight? I'm very interested to get this conversation going, because I think it's a very important time of year to be having this conversation. So as homeschooling is on the rise, I just want to make sure that the kids who are being homeschooled continue to just excel and do amazing and wonderful things, and that we aren't choosing a path that then doesn't serve them best. And that is my only hope in coming here and chatting this through with you. So I hope you get it. Bye, guys.